top 12 last time around. This time, they are looking to party. This is a team as well that we've seen just create so many upsets. Last year, that was kind of the name of the game for them. They come in, they take down so many good teams. Right now, they have a win against the Beat Boys, 5 Blinks, who we saw last week, and then the Rejects, who already got eliminated from the tournament. Do you think that they can take down Getchur Boy Dog?
I think they definitely have a chance. We know Rosita Jones for ending the dynasty between Swapsy and Botar. He was basically, like I said, the dynasty killer. He did such an incredible job on that Demon Hunter. Such a high-level player.
Back on the mage.
Yeah.
Oh, this is the comp.
This is the comp they played in the last cup when they did so well.
I want to see it.
Prepare for one-shots.
Let's look for the one-shot. You can see that Meteor as well. That was really the thing that Rosita Jones figured out nice and early. Obviously a little bit different now, but for fun, looking to put on a show for all of us here in the AWC.
Now we'll have to see what specialization Rosita Jones is playing. In the past, he was known for playing the Flame Cannon and the Fire Starter build, so we can get these combustions off on CMG, who responds immediately with the Dispersion. So if Rosita Jones is just sitting there free casting Fireballs, he's looking for these one-shot setups. Potentially could be playing Greater Power Blast as well, but we really don't see him play that often.
All right, Whoopie lockdown crowd control. Rosita with evasive maneuvers avoids the incoming attack and now looks for counter aggression. CMG taking a pounding right now by the team of For Fun early on. We don't typically see this much pressure against a Restoration Druid, but For Fun have come out to get a win here early on. Void Shift now forced as well, and this peculiar composition that they pioneered towards the ends of the seasons last year is still working wonders for them and might be the curveball to take the whole tournament. Who knows, but with this kind of pressure, they're looking good.
At Rosita Jones, fireball after fireball, resetting that combustion, and every time he gets that up, it is a scary moment for Getchur Boy Dog. Omnivore now into the Psychic Horror, stunned up, polymorph on Whoopie. Whoopie still vulnerable to the crowd control of Grayson, but you can see Rosita Jones now playing defense. He's going to be spamming out his own polymorphs onto Grayson, and that buys Whoopie some time. Get the Life Cocoon on Omnivore and keep him completely healthy.
Here we go. Whoopie's moving in, and when that Mistweaver goes in, you know something's about to go down, but actually gets intercepted. Luckily on diminishing return. Now Whoopie starts the crowd control. They got 10 seconds to kill WizK. They need damage here, but they polymorph Whoopie up on that Way of the Crane. Good denial by the Mage of Grayson. That was a critical moment in the game that For Fun looked to try and close. Grayson denies it.
Yep, CMG will ultimately survive with that Iron Bar coming in from Flop, and beautiful peels there by Grayson. It's really going to be up to him. When CMG is being trained down by Omnivore, caught into the Stormbolt, there's not too much he can do to keep himself alive. Here's a setup. Once again, Rosita Jones deflects with the Polymorph spam, getting CMG in crowd control. Flop pushes in. Dragon's Breath denies it. Rosita Jones, beautiful job there, honestly, denying all the aggression coming in from Getchur Boy Dog, and now CMG's the one that's in trouble.
Yeah, CMG ducking around the corner, waiting for Flop to get out of crowd control. Still a lot of pressure being dished out by Omnivore. Obviously, an Arms Warrior into a Shadow Priest is going to be favored to the Arms Warrior. Pair that up with the excellent plays of Whoopie, adding in that Way of the Crane damage, and you've got a formula to find a kill. I really do like this composition. However, Whoopie is going to need to look to extend the match. His mana is not in a great position. If at some point in this game he can find a drink or generate mana to full and make that push later in dampening, I think they will be able to secure a kill against Getchur Boy Dog. Now, on the other hand, basically this entire matchup rides on Grayson. He needs to prevent his Shadow Priest CMG from dying. He needs to set up crowd control like this on Whoopie to execute for a kill, and then have Flop re-engage off the back of it. Flop crossing the map, looking to get some follow-up. The crowd control so far looks good. Omnivore is exposed, and Grayson definitely on point here in game one as they look to try and turn things around.
Yeah, Way of the Crane used by Whoopie, but he's getting crowd controlled on all of it. He needs to get some damage rolling, finally moving in, but the mind control denies the heals. Getchur Boy Dog completely outplaying Whoopie. Now a silence. Does he have anything left? No, he doesn't. That was such a beautiful play by Getchur Boy Dog. Whoopie just completely exposed on that Mistweaver Monk and got denied on all of his healing.
That didn't look that fun, I'm not going to lie.
It did for a little bit, okay?
Getchur Boy Dog going to run away with this one. Zico, how are they able to do it?
Just immaculate play from CMG there towards the end. Crowd control, well, from both CMG and Grayson, honestly. We saw that Ring of Frost come in, then we saw the mind control onto Omnivore now. If you mind control Omnivore, we can actually see these last couple of moments there. So we see Whoopi gets crowd control on his way of the crane by Grayson. Phenomenal job. Nice Cyclone follow-up there from Flop as well. And then we're going to see this mind control here from CMG. So he stuns up Whoopi, and there at that reflect, as it ends, we see a pre-casted mind control, walks Omnivore away from that pillar. Whoopi right now, he is spamming that Rising Sun kick, but it's not doing anything because Omni is not on his team when he is mind controlled. Then Omnivore gets out of that. There is no more way of the crane. Followed that up with the silence, and then of course Grayson and CMG find that little bit of extra damage to finish out the game. Beautiful, beautiful execution on that CC chain, and honestly a little bit of a blunder from Whoopi to activate that way of the crane before he has been polymorphed up.
I don't think I've seen a way of the crane get denied so absolutely and utterly by a team, not only polymorphing it, but then extending that chain with mind control. That was easy. This is why Get Your Boy Dog is able to take out teams like Method Orange last week, why they're one of the highest rated teams consistently, the highest rated team on the ladder consistently for North America. This is a team that you definitely can't count out, even though maybe you don't recognize the name. CMG has competed in the past, and he's back with some fire underneath himself here in this series. Just perfect play on their part.
Yeah, also, I think you might be in a case where if you're not always looking at the ladder, you don't know how well they have been competing there, and you only saw the tournament, you only saw the games, and maybe didn't even know some of the teams that they had to take out to manage to get to the top 8 to be on broadcast. You see that they only have 20 points, and you go, Get Your Boy Dog, they're just one of these teams that can make it into the top 8, but they're not going to be able to maybe do that much else. You'd be pretty wrong in that particular case. I think Get Your Boy Dog, even though some of the numbers that we look at to consistently say how strong a team can be in a tournament, they might not have checked all of those boxes yet. They've already proved to us that they are the real deal. When we look at For Fun, this is a team that we also feel a similar way about, but they're a team that typically does do it with upsets. They are always kind of that dark horse in our races. And here, Get Your Boy Dog just looks like a stable force.
Yeah, this composition is really solid against the Mistweaver Monk. You have a lot of control, a lot of setup for Grayson from CMG with the Psychic Horror. And even if he doesn't have it, the Mistweaver Monk is not like the Resto Shaman where he can be grounding or wind shearing these incoming polymorphs. So like the Resto Druid who can get in bear form or cat form or boomkin form. The Mistweaver Monk doesn't really have that many tools to deal with it. So he has to have immaculate positioning, but playing the Way of the Crane and pushing in, he gives up that positioning and makes himself incredibly vulnerable. I wonder if for fun, Whoopi should be changing up his talents, maybe get rid of the Way of the Crane, go for a Thunder Focus T instead, so when he gets out of the CC chains, he can actually top off Omnivore, and maybe they could win a longer game just with consistent pressure throughout the game. Whoopi just sits back, he heals, he avoids polymorph, and I feel like it'll be difficult for Get Your Boy Dog to actually get a kill.
Their name is For Fun, okay, not For Dampening. They're trying to play for fun here.
Winning is fun.
Okay.
Yeah, winning.
No, winning is not synonymous with fun. I refuse to believe
doesn't
this.
know that.
Yeah.
No, it is not. It is not. Whoopi, like, he's played Way of the Crane every single game. I don't think he's ever dropped it. And when I tried to talk to him about it, when I started playing Mistweaver, he's like, "You're bad if you're not playing Way of the Crane." He just flat out thinks that it's basically mandatory. Of course, the situation has changed now with mana regeneration, but I think he is onto something with that. The extra damage, if you find that window, is enough to overwhelm a team. And because you have that threat always available, even if you're just sitting on it, not activating it maybe as frequently as you could, it's a threat that the team has to respect. And if they start to make a mistake, put him on polymorph DR right before it, then Whoopi can sneak in and get a kill. So I think it's pretty important overall, and it's definitely a pivotal point in his play style to have it for his roster.
Well, Zico and I actually kind of had that conversation yesterday about Way of the Crane. We were talking about the changes. Obviously, it seems like a pretty expensive move to make quite a few times, and we were talking about whether or not it was a choice that we wanted to see. Zico, how do you feel about it today now that we have even more data points, that we've gotten to see it so many times throughout the tournament?
Well, I like the Way of the Crane, but I think it's very important to activate it at the right time. What the worst thing that can happen with Way of the Crane is what we just saw here. Way of the Crane in itself is a nice, powerful cooldown, but you need to activate it when you are on diminishing return, similar to what we saw from Gallon yesterday in their series against Change My Mind. And Change My Mind and Get Your Boy Dog, they play very similar stuff. Change My Mind also plays Shadow Priest, Mage, Resto Druid. They also have Windwalker, Mage, Resto Druid, which Get Your Boy Dog also has in the bag. We saw Gallon top off his team, and then just run in and start doing damage. And the mage, if he polymorphs you, you're going to come out, your team is still going to be alive, you can activate that Way of the Crane and get that extra bit of damage to push in. And it looks like Marika really wants to say something.
Well, he also opted out of Way of the Crane on the last game, if you guys remember which won them the game.
Opting out of Mistweaver Monk entirely in this match.
So no Way of the Crane and Resto Druid. I think it's going to be
Feral Affinity, maybe?
We can always
I actually think that Feral Affinity is good into double Spellcaster, especially Shadow Priest Mage, because as Cat form, you're immune to Polymorph, you run in and get some extra damage. I think he should actually take the risk, especially on Dalaran Sewers, where he can easily get to the enemy team and then get back if he needs to.
How do we feel about Feral Affinity, Zico?
I'm with Sid. I like Feral Affinity here. Basically, the biggest thing that you have to factor in when you play Feral Affinity, are you going to be able to dish out a lot of damage? You have yourself a nice little clothy here on CMG and Grayson. And the other thing is, will you die when you push in? Now, if you play against something like an Elemental Shaman, it can be quite tricky because there's a landing lasso. It's going to take off half your HP. You can get bursted pretty big in there. But a Shadow Priest and a Mage, they're not going to be that scary with their upfront burst. The scary thing is their long crowd control chain. They're going to polymorph you and mind control you and silence you and disarm you and all of those basically instant CCs. That's what you're worried about. So I want to see Way of the Crane here as well.
Okay, all right. Well, looking right now, there's only one thing that I think we can say. Getchur boy dog going to be leading by 1, and they're going to try to get themselves on match point for fun. Already having to switch off something that we know Whoopi for in the Monk. Let's see how he can fare on the Druid, and let's see if we get to see him pull off any cheeky plays in Feral Affinity.
So far, he hasn't revealed if he is currently running it or not. Grayson actually catches Whoopi, and this is a bit of an inexperienced moment on Druid to be caught on Polymorph with no stun leading into it. That could have been an opportunity for Grayson's team to get damage going, but Omnivore was already in a good position to avoid the attack, so definitely good awareness on Omnivore's part.
Yeah, now a swap over onto Flop, I believe. He gets life gripped away by CMG to stay alive. That leap of faith will keep Flop in a favorable position. Barskin was used and traded out as Rosita Jones did commit his combustion. Now, once again, Rosita Jones is going to be playing that Firestarter Flame Cannon build. We talk about it a lot. Basically, every time he gets a fireball off, it reduces the cooldown of his combustion by 5 seconds. The Flame Cannon, in addition to that, allows his fireball to do more consistent damage. Every time he stands still, he gets a buff, stacking up 4 times. That increases his damage, his stamina, and his range, so he can sit very far away, get these fireballs, get these power blasts off, and it actually allows him to have quite good consistent damage in the match.
All right, Whoopi moves in, gets clotheslined by CMG. This could start a devastating crowd control chain over onto Whoopi with all 3 members locked down. Omnivore isolated, but able to line of sight at the boxes here. Good map selection by the team of 4. Fun. Omnivore is defensively carrying the team currently, but he's having his damage inhibited so much due to this defensive requirement off the mistakes of his team. So definitely would like to see Whoopi clean up his game so that Omnivore can engage aggressively.
Yeah, Flop taking some burst and is losing on mana at this particular point in the game. I'm not exactly sure who Getchur boy dog is going after. Cyclone now on Whoopi, looking for some damage on Omnivore, who looks to be the target of choice in game number 2, just like in game number 1. But Rosita Jones doing a good job denying a lot of this crowd control with polymorphs of his own, keeping up the consistent pressure on CMG. The need to deny any drinks from Flop. The Warrior and the Fire Mage with this build are going to put out massive damage, and if Flop has to basically go for drinks in this matchup, and on the smaller map, it's going to be really difficult as long as Omnivore and Rosita Jones are paying attention.
One of the main reasons this composition works so effectively for fun is the Sharpened Blade ability of the Arms Warrior. You can activate this to increase the damage of your next Mortal Strike and also have it apply a healing reduction effect of 50% healing reduction to the target. So during that Sharpened Blade, Rosita then will back up Omnivore with tons of instant Pyroblast damage. While that damage is coming in, the healing is reduced by half, and that's why it's so effective. We see a swap over onto Flop. Will he just drop? We see CMG Void Shift over to stay in the fight, but he's still not topped off. Huge attack by For Fun.
Yep, Rosita Jones doing tons of pressure there with the combustion. Flop's mana is not doing well. Now CMG getting swapped to, trying to help out his team with the Vampiric Embrace. But you can see, once again, Polymorph spam on Grayson. Anytime Grayson pushes in, he gets CC on Whoopi. Rosita Jones is there to back him up and slow down any incoming damage. And it's going to be difficult for CMG to basically solo Omnivore in those situations.
Omnivore looking to try and ramp up, and it does seem to be that they want to go after Flop. Flop, I believe, is running Balance Affinity, so he can go into Boomkin form, which makes him immune to Polymorph and still cast heals. It's very powerful at healing your teammates, not so potent at keeping yourself alive, and For Fun know that weakness of Balance Affinity and are trying to exploit it by switching to Flop with Storm Bolts and that Sharpened Blade combination. So Omnivore and Rosita will switch targets, stun up the healer, and combo Sharpened Blade with Pyroblast to take him out. He needs to try and predict that Stormbolt and get into bear form before it occurs. In the meantime, though, during this lull in the game, Flop manages to escape and regenerate some mana for a later game kill. Crowd control initiated by Get Your Boy Dog. They're gunning down for Omnivore. He retreats back behind the boxes. Whoopi tag teaming over there to start to stabilize, but Rosita was left in midfield, caught by that Ursul's Vortex as Grayson and CMG switch their attention over to him. Whoopi in a good position to recover and avoid crowd control, timing that Innervate, making his Wild Growth free. Good combinations of spells by Whoopi to extend this match. For Fun initiate an attack. That Sharpened Blade is going to trade for Flop's Iron Bark, but Omnivore did split up his cooldowns. He still has Avatar, so the next Sharpened Blade will be devastating. CMG needs to be ready for it.
Yeah, Grayson tried to get a free Polymorph there on Whoopi using both of his blinks. Unfortunately, was denied. Now a Ring of Frost being cast out of the bash coming in from Flop. Good teamwork coming in from Get Your Boy Dog. It's going to be up to CMG and Flop to really set up the crowd control chains, allowing Grayson to get the Ring of Frost or Polymorphs on Whoopi when they can with their stuns. Now another Ring of Frost over onto Flop. CMG gets
This could be it.
This could be it. Dispersion was used. He's going to manage to survive with that. Flop might have to use the Iron Bark. That would be a big overlap of fear. More crowd control on Flop. Is there anything else? Rosita Jones looking for the Polymorphs, not finding it. Iron Bark was connected, but CMG is still dangerously low.
That was the big punch with the Avatar that Omnivore smartly held on to. Comboed together, forced a critical mistake on Get Your Boy Dog's side. They've overlapped defensive cooldowns, and they're vulnerable now with Dampening having just engaged. Omnivore moves forward. He's got that Sharpened Blade. Rosita's got a Meteor. Those combo together quite effectively, but they are getting clotheslined as they look to push across the map. Rosita is being pushed back. Will he be able to stay aggressive? Meteor connects with that Sharpened Blade, but gets completely denied by Vampiric Embrace of CMG. Now Flop jumping into the fight, looking for crowd control. Whoopi ducks back around the corner, but gets caught by Grayson. Grayson once again with the sneaky Polymorphs. Whoopi can't afford these errors. Tons of damage now available potentially here for Rosita. No, not enough. And in the meantime, Rosita actually gets a counterspell on Flop. This could lead some momentum to take down CMG. No follow-up though. CMG starts to stabilize, activating Void Form, really trying to ramp up his damage, but Whoopi's moving in. What's Whoopi trying to get done here? Flop is trying to retreat away from that pillar, but now he's exposed to Cyclone. Good Cyclone, although premeditated with Iron Bark. Nice read on Flop's side. Rosita now getting counter-pressured as they look to push forward for a kill. They are getting clotheslined.
Yeah, Rosita Jones is going to be becoming increasingly vulnerable in this matchup as well. Flop's man is not doing great. Whoopi's still a little bit ahead if he can keep his team alive. Looking for Tranquility, canceling that immediately. Just getting a little bit of bonus healing there for Omnivore and Rosita Jones, trying to potentially bait out a counterspell from Grayson as he looks for a Polymorph on Whoopi once again. But now Grayson with no blinks, not a huge threat to get these blink Polymorphs. Whoopi will be able to stabilize and keep his team alive as they push in. They do not want to allow Flop to get a drink. That is the reason why they chose the smaller map. They need to deny the drinks and take advantage of the fact that they have Omnivore with the Mortal Strike effect. Rosita Jones with the consistent damage, which really taxes Flop's mana.
Oh, big Maledict attack here towards CMG. Flop's trying to deal with it, but Dampening is ramping up. They may need to overlap. Another Maledict is going to get the dispersion, but that's absorbing all the healing with the Maledict. Omnivore got bursted low as well, and I think this game could be ending shortly. The pressure is really mounting in favor of For Fun. Omnivore senses it. He activates Die by the Sword to reduce incoming damage and just stay on target. If they can get crowd control on Flop, Ring of Frost is secured. CMG's locked down. Flop breaks out to try and stall this out a tad bit longer, but will he have enough healing? He's so restricted on mana, he can't afford to pump out regrowths. CMG gets cycloned, trying to stall out diminishing returns and wait for another crowd control attempt towards Flop. Omnivore leaps to deny Flop from drinking. Very important that they do not allow him to regenerate mana. Whoopi has a significant lead in that regard, and this is looking better and better for For Fun.
Yeah, Flop had to trade out his Trinket in that last exchange, but because CMG had to use his Void Shift instantaneously at the beginning of the game, it's actually rotated off of cooldown, which is something you don't normally see. So CMG, he has that reset. Vampiric Embrace will carry him until that point. Dispersion almost available as well. Omnivore now getting swapped to. Whoopie with no Trinket for a few seconds. Maybe they could get some crowd control, but no, the Iron Bark will likely deny the kill, but Grayson doing work with the Ray of Frost has to get shut down by Rosita Jones. Beautiful polymorph from Flop, denying the heals from Whoopie. Grayson looking for some crowd control. Whoopie goes into stealth to deny it. Now Flop pushing forward, finds the Cyclone on Whoopie. Omnivore very vulnerable in defensive stance, going to be running behind the pillar, just trying to stay alive.
All right, Rosita Jones getting peeled away by Grayson. He's really trying to slow down this attack, completely negating it, and now potentially building momentum for his team. Although now getting counter-engaged, both these teams continue swinging. They're almost completely tapped on mana for both sides, with dampening reaching 25%. Flop trying to sneak away from the fight. Rosita sees him and is looking to deny it, but I'm not sure if he'll be able to. Ignite triggers the explosion of Living Bomb, and now Flop gets denied on that. They walk into crowd control. Nice moves by Omnivore. Both healers in crowd control. Both teams in trouble. CMG trades first to secure his own life moving forward, but that Maledictus soaks up a lot of healing. Omnivore is still digging in. Void Shift available and likely needs to be traded, and it will towards Grayson, but Omnivore is staying on target. All of the healing is reduced by 28% now, and the damage of Omnivore is not going anywhere.
Rosita Jones just got his combustion off cooldown as well, and Flop, he does not have the mana to deal with this. If Rosita Jones can get the damage rolling, it could be scary. In the meantime, Omnivore getting low. Polymorph on Whoopie. Omnivore has to go out of line of sight. If they can just find one good moment on CMG, they can close out the game. Rosita Jones just needs a good, well-timed combustion, but with the fear on Whoopie, Omnivore still in so much trouble. Getchur Boy Dog looking to claim game number 2. Omnivore, can you survive? Iron Bark available for Whoopie, but it gets shut down by the bash from Flop. Getchur Boy Dog staying calm, cool, and collected in the last few moments of that game. Crowd controlling Whoopie and claiming game number 2.
This dog's been gotten, boy. Zico.
Not your best moment.
You're really going to just toss that off and pretend that didn't happen?
Yeah, so what was the question, Rich?
Boy. No, so how's Getchur Boy Dog? How are they able to just so convincingly take this time and time again?
Honestly, it comes down to some of those mistakes on Whoopie. Look right here. Grayson snipes that double blink polymorph onto Whoopie, counterspells the arcane school from Rosita Jones, so he cannot be polymorphed himself as that lockout fades right there. Grayson just doing a phenomenal job being such an experienced mage. Whoopie, of course, being a little bit bullied around here because he doesn't have that much experience on that Resto Druid. Walks into a fear from CMG there as well. And when you tank those two CCs, you have Flop being able to follow up with the DR Cyclone into that bash as well. It's just too much CC at this point in the game. That Frost Mage pressure is finally going to be able to take him down with CMG, and a lot of it is just solid defense from Getchur Boy Dog as well. For Fun, for sure, was in the driver's seat in this game, but it just a couple of mistakes there in the end. It's just not going to be enough. And if Whoopie actually utilized his Moonkin form right there towards the end, For Fun had this in the bag, for sure. Resto Druid only really have that counter spell as an actual interrupt. I wouldn't mind seeing Rosita Jones just kick it back and bake some of those greater pies.
Okay, maybe some G pies. The only thing you're not a fan of, right, is Tinder, right? That was the main talent that you didn't like?
Well, against the Resto Druid, you can't pick Tinder because you have to go with that Klepto. And Flame Cannon and, I know this was a joke, but Flame Cannon and...
No, it wasn't. I just don't know much about Tinder. The gates are now open. Getchur Boy Dog moving on through. They need just one more win to take the series.
There was a few close calls for CMG in the last game, and I think if For Fun just cleans up the gameplay just a little bit. Actually, Whoopie opting for Relentless, I think, this game, which is an adaptation from the first, so when he does get caught in these polymorph chains, they aren't going to be as extended, but that does mean if he does get caught in a polymorph and it gets followed up by Silence and Fear, it is crowd control he has no chance of getting out of, and Omnivore getting low already. Whoopie having to use the Iron Bark instantaneously, Safeguard gets procced, Omnivore has to run away, and those CC chains he can't trinket out of become very scary as the game goes on longer.
For Fun had advantageous position throughout the last game, but suddenly had it flipped in favor of Getchur Boy Dog, so it's definitely the case that Getchur Boy Dog Dog can close this out. Good coordination by Rosita and Whoopi to lock Flop down in crowd control, but Mass Dispel support from CMG denies that chain from continuing, which now means Flop can easily start to recover. Whoopi knows this, so he opts to use Cyclone on CMG, denying him from being topped off completely and preventing him from dealing damage for a few seconds. Flop jumping into the fight, stunning up Omnivore, holding him inside of that frozen orb of Grayson. Good combination of abilities there. Nice coordination by the team of Get Your Boy Dog, but not enough damage really to back up off the end of it. Now a polymorph is secured onto Whoopi. This could be dangerous for Omnivore. He is likely to opt to retreat away, although getting rooted up and snared. Whoopi is now no longer crowd controlled, so Omnivore is taking this opportunity to go back and attack. And CMG actually playing Void Elf, using that racial to teleport right next to Whoopi. I don't think that was something that he saw coming. A bit unfortunate that nothing ended up happening off the back of that play, but definitely something to look out for moving up forward.
At the beginning of the game on Dalaran Sewers, For Fun was finding most of their pressure, most of their momentum by making swaps to Flop. And I don't know if it's just Flop's positioning, playing too far away for them to take advantage of that. But these games where they're not swapping to him, I really want to see them try to punish Flop a little bit more. Whoopi pushing forward, landing the bash, looking for potentially a Hibernate or Cyclone. Isn't going to be able to find it, but casting Hibernate forces Flop to get out of bear form and allows Rosita Jones to land the polymorph. That's a really good setup that Mage and Druid can do together. If there's a Druid who's just camping in bear form, you cast Hibernate and polymorph at the exact same time, and no matter what happens, he is going to have to eat some crowd control, because if he sits in bear, he gets hibernated. If he shifts out, he eats the polymorph. So you see high-level Mage Druid gameplay there from both Flop and Grayson, or Rosita Jones and Whoopi.
We see some pretty equal trades cooldown-wise. The mana is also evening out. It's anyone's match here in game number 3, but Get Your Boy Dog are on match point and look to advance in the upper bracket, the highest-ranked team on the ladder. Nice catch here by Whoopi, hibernating up Flop. You can definitely see him starting to make some good trades on that Restoration Druid substitute of his own. Now trying to jump across the fight, keep the crowd control chain going, but the damage gets denied by CMG's Vampiric Embrace, allowing his damage to heal his entire team and stabilize through that extended crowd control chain. Good cooldown usage by CMG, definitely carrying the team, and it is now their turn to lead the charge.
Yeah, Grayson looking for some crowd control on Whoopi. Rosita Jones denies it nicely done with the double Dragon's Breath onto Grayson and Flop, but no follow-up. Now CMG taking most of the damage. Ironbark will deflect with the full polymorph, or full cyclone on Whoopi. Omnivore and Rosita Jones, though, really not taking too much damage. For Grayson and CMG need to find a little bit more burst during these crowd control windows. Silence, Ebb and Bolt. Omnivore getting lower, and there's the burst I was talking about, exactly what they needed to do. Now Omnivore Cyclone low. Whoopi's in a bad situation as Ironbark got Cyclone, so he doesn't get that increased healing. He's going to have to expel more mana to keep him up.
Yeah, nice moves there by Flop, but Cyclone is also expensive, so both these Druids using Cyclone quite frequently is taxing their mana heavily in this fight. There is now an advantage in favor of Whoopi, although he's been sitting on his Innervate for some time. I would like to see him activate that as soon as possible to get it on cooldown and get another one in the fight for mana efficiency. We do see both Rosita and Whoopi push forward to secure crowd control. The counterspell onto CMG. Dips low, trades Dispersion, overlapped a bit with the Gladiator Safeguard. Typically you would want to see those spread out, but CMG waited too long to disperse. Now he loses 2 defensive options and what would have normally have only been 1, which will force Flop into an awkward situation. But we do see crowd control on Whoopi, which means that CMG and Grayson want to get attacking towards Omnivore. They get shut down by him, though, denying a lot of damage with that intimidating shout. I would say that For Fun are now in the lead in this match, but they were in the lead in the last one, and Get Your Boy Dog pulled it off, so it's still anyone's match as we get closer to dampening.
Yep, Flop was looking for a drink, unfortunately not able to find it, keeping up the heals, going to stealth once again. Maybe he snuck away, potentially. Rosita Jones looking to find him, manages to land the Dragon's Breath. Grayson a little bit too late denying that. If he had gotten that polymorph off just 1 second or half a second earlier, Flop would have been potentially at full mana, and that's a really big deal in a matchup like this. Omnivore, though, getting swapped to. Big crowd control chain onto Whoopi. Polymorph a little late there by Grayson. Ironbark does connect on Omnivore as well as the die by the sword. Getchur Boy Dog, that was a nice attempt. They managed to pull out the long cooldown die by the sword as well as Ironbark from Whoopi. And this pressure from Getchur Boy Dog is quite heavy.
Yeah, Getchur Boy Dog are stabilizing and pulling the gold points that they need to get from For Fun at a critical point with dampening just beginning. Getchur Boy Dog are looking clean in this series, looking to eliminate For Fun, at least in the upper brackets. We see crowd control initiated by For Fun as they desperately try to pull something together from the pieces of this match. They managed to pull that dispersion, a critical defensive here from CMG. But in the meantime, Grayson, MVP of the series, getting a polymorph, now getting denied though, equally so by Rosita, unable to really follow up with too much. Innervate gets dispelled during silence. Nice play by CMG, denying that efficiency in terms of mana, and that dispel on Innervate might tie the mana actually, and momentum is slowly swinging in their favor. Getchur Boy Dog are looking good.
There's a DR Fear, full polymorph secured by Grayson. Omnivore all by himself, but they did manage to get the Ironbark. Polymorph broke, another polymorph coming in from Grayson. Omnivore gets topped off instantaneously. Good heals there by Whoopi. Now CMG is the one that's in trouble. Without the crowd control, the Mage Shadow Priest is not favored in this match. It's basically Getchur Boy Dog. They're looking for their CC. When they have Bash, they have the Psychic Horror, they have Fear. They can push in, try to get crowd control. Other than that, they try to look to play a little bit defensive by spamming out the polymorphs, slow down Rosita Jones. But with this combustion, the damage is quite high for Fun. And Flop really doesn't have too much mana left to deal with this. Void Shift might be traded out here by CMG, but he's stabilizing. Grayson with the polymorph spam on Rosita Jones. Nice counterspell by Rosita Jones on Flop. That's going to deny his heals. Omnivore getting a little low though. Frozen Orb gets dropped by Grayson. And now once again, Getchur Boy Dog, they're pushing in, looking for the game-winning crowd control.
Both teams in trouble here at critical dampening points. Whoopi with a significant mana lead, but he had that in game number 2 and still lost, so it's definitely not over yet. Flop is still locked down. CMG, the target, has cooldowns to trade and may need to start thinking about it. Flop's mana situation is not looking too great for them. It's For Fun, battle for victory. They need to take this if they want to stay in the upper bracket. They have to win 3 in a row. Quite a tall order for them to take. But in the meantime, Getchur Boy Dog look to just clean it out. We see polymorphs onto Whoopi. Omnivore getting targeted down. He needs another 34 seconds until Die by the Sword is available, which will likely secure his own life for a push in the future. Another 26 seconds on that cooldown as they march forward, still having the momentum. Good crowd control by Whoopi. Grayson gets locked out. He can't support. CMG line of sights, avoids a little bit of the attacks of Rosita, but Omnivore is right next to him, still tearing in, and somehow, some way, Flop is healing on fumes. Whoopi still with a gigantic lead. Die by the Sword is going to be available, and For Fun have set themselves up in a great position to close this match.
Yeah, Flop looking for a drink, hiding in plain sight, but Rosita says, I see you. Dragon's Breath looking for some potential polymorph, but Flop and Catform not going to be able to find it. Warbanner does get dropped out. Omnivore just trying to help out his healer, avoid some crowd control. CMG forced into the dispersion, and Flop, his mana is not going up at this point. They just need to slow down these drinks. Rosita Jones gets interrupted. They're buying time. Rosita Jones forced into the ice block. Flop actually going to be getting a lot of mana back here, and this is going to put Getchur Boy Dog back into the game. No, he didn't.
I guess not. That's a little bit unfortunate for Flop.
Overhyped for nothing.
CMG's got Void Shift to trade his health. Rosita now without an ice block means Whoopi needs to keep heal over time effects on 2 targets. That's going to tax the rest of his mana, moving into deep dampening territory on Hook Point, the smallest map in the pool. You are not going to find drinks, and Flop tried to, but for some reason wasn't actually able to, and that was an advantage that he could have secured, but ended up not getting it, and may actually cost him the game here. Omnivore in desperation uses Intimidating Shout on Grayson. He actually uses Ice Block to break it. He knows this is a desperate situation, but now he gets counterspelled by Rosita. He's not able to back up the team. Flop moves back a tiny bit. CMG has Void Shift still left to his name, but there's no mana in the tank for Flop. There's no mana in the tank for Whoopi. This is cross-kill potential written all over it. Void Shift exchange over with Flop. He's trying to drink in the back line. Now Rosita gets cleaved down. Whoopi gets caught in a polymorph. Getchur Boy Dog are trying to close. Omnivore is carrying the team on his back, single-handedly trying to kill CMG, while Rosita is pinned down in an ice block, and Omnivore looking like he might be able to do it. Flop is keeping him going, keeping him afloat just a tiny little bit longer, but it's not ultimately going to be enough, and For Fun stay alive in the upper bracket.
Flop is going to do just that, not able to sneak away and grab those drinks. 2 very close calls where I think you're watching, you're like, oh, there it is. The drink just came through, and then you're left kind of saying, wait, just drink. It's so hard, though, on Hook Point. Such a tiny map. Zico, why was Flop not able in those two, like at the end there? Obviously, a lot of pressure coming in, so he has to move out from behind the pillar after we did see him get away in cap form. But there are a few moments where it looks like he just has secured a drink, and he doesn't.
Well, when you drop combat, when you sit down for the drink, after 5 seconds, that's when you start getting mana now. In that specific instance, Rosita Jones managed to snipe him with that flame strike around the corner, as probably on the 5th second, so he didn't actually manage to get any. And Flop, in general in this series, he's been playing a phenomenal game, but in this series, do you see what he did just there? That's what I was just about to talk about. He drops the Iron Bark and then he goes for the drink, and that's the reason actually why he's out of mana in the first place, because before this, he used 2 Iron Barks where his team is under pressure, he just presses Iron Bark and then he goes up for the drink. That's not how you set up the drink. You set up the drink with damage. You want either a sheep on Rosita Jones and then a lot of damage onto the warrior, or you want a lot of damage onto Rosita Jones and CC on the warrior. When your team is ahead, when your team has pressure, you just sneak off and drink, and then you use that Iron Bark to recover. He was not doing that. He was just throwing it when there was no damage. People were on full HP. They just go, okay, well, we're just going to chase you while this bark is up anyway. Stop the drink, and then you're not going to have that. Now you're going to have to heal through all of that extra damage and actually run out of mana completely.
Yep.
We're on Arena and bring in the Windwalker.
So by the way, just for anyone who's tuning in right now, it's like, how are they actually picking things? The way that it does go is we start off every single series blind pick on a Grand Arena, and a Grand Arena, a nice balanced map. Blind compositions, a lot of mind games going into that one, but we like to talk about the composition advantage, and what that basically is when you are coming off of a loss, what you're able to do is you pick the map, the other team responds, the team that won responds by picking their composition, and then you pick your composition with full information. Getchur Boy Dog has the momentum in the series, so when they're on match point, they get to use that advantage. They had it here, but for some reason they pick a big map, and they're going to be using the Windwalker. The nice thing about this monk, though, is it is able to be a very mobile melee class. We're going to have to see if they can employ it here, because this is a choice that we did not see coming.
This is the first time we're going to see Baby Cakes here today on that Windwalker monk. Getchur Boy Dog, the highest rated ladder team in the tournament, now looking to make a name for themselves in the tournament scene. They took down teams like Method Orange last week and are looking to wreak havoc in the second week of the North American qualifiers to get to that spring finals. They could be a team to look out for, definitely proving themselves in battle. But with this decision, the peculiar swap to Windwalker, we're waiting to see if it pays out. It might. Ice Block forced very early on by Rosita Jones, and maybe we're just wrong at the desk and get Baby Cakes in there, and he's just going to immediately cook up a win. This is looking good.
Yeah, Touch of Death gets used. They're not out of it yet. Full polymorph on Whoopi. Still crowd control coming in from Getchur Boy Dog. Grayson doing such a phenomenal job. Rosita Jones getting lower. They might be able to take him down. Cauterize does proc. You can see him running around. Flop just having his way with these clones. Getchur Boy Dog just seems like they are in the driver's seat. They are looking to bury for fun.
I mean, maybe they could have picked a smaller map if they wanted to go all-out aggression. They're just not stopping. That gas pedal is down straight to the floor. Lots of damage. Whoopi tries to deny the kill. Will Iron Bark be enough while he sits there? Flop gets swapped too. Omnivore out of nowhere tries to catch a kill on Flop as he was playing so aggressive and overextended. That was definitely an opportunity for fun, need to try and take, but Flop denies the kill.
Yeah, Flop was just having way too much fun in that game, getting the offensive cyclones on Rosita Jones, controlling Whoopi up completely, but Rosita Jones, he does not have another ice block for 3 minutes. Cauterize hasn't proc. That's a 5-minute timer as well. So it's going to be difficult for them to survive the next offensive push coming in from Getchur Boy Dog. As soon as they have their cooldowns up, Icy Veins for Grayson in 1.5 minutes. That's an opportunity for them to push in and try to actually close out the game.
All right, next crowd control on Whoopi could just end the game if Grayson can get it. Whoopi re-stealths. He's invisible to his opponents and he's repositioning right now. That's a nice move by Whoopi. Definitely a high-level decision, but Baby Cakes engages with that paralysis. There's no follow-up, though, off the back of it. He pre-Touch of Karma's the Storm Bolt. Really good plays by Baby Cakes. He's got his Transcendence on top of Rosita's Blink pattern. Baby Cakes definitely some high-level play here on Windwalker. If he can stay on target a little bit longer. Flop's moving in. We see Grayson on the other side. He's going to wrap around the corner, blinking in for crowd control onto 2 members. Gets denied. Flop looks for follow-up, and he gets denied. Good denial by the team of For Fun, but Rosita is still falling behind.
Yeah, Grayson actually missed his Ring of Frost there. That's unfortunate because I think that could have actually closed out the game there if they got that crowd control. Rosita Jones was in a lot of trouble. Rosita Jones now almost has combustion back up. They might be able to make another swap onto Baby Cakes. Baby Cakes has to trade out the defuse. Baby Cakes in a lot of trouble. No touch of Karma, no diffuse magic. Ironbark gets traded out. One more swap from Rosita Jones and Omnivore. Baby Cakes could just go down.
Yeah, now he's an exposed target. Get Your Boy Dog had all the momentum, and we're in the lead for some time. If they don't get a kill soon, Baby Cake could be in trouble, but they might just do so. Nice triple stun on the trinket. Perfect play by Baby Cakes, but Omnivore, sick play here from Omnivore, stalling out the fight for a couple of extra seconds. Now securing crowd control onto Flop. Both these teams playing out of their minds.
Yep, Rosita Jones, Meteor on Baby Cakes, decent damage. Baby Cakes has to Transcendence and run away. Rosita Jones chasing him down, still in a lot of trouble. Baby Cakes does have the touch of Karma coming up in 6 seconds after that. He's going to be completely fine. Flop did use his trinket, pushing in now. Bash onto Whoopie, full Cyclone for Polymorph. Rosita Jones gets interrupted, trying to deflect with the Dragon's Breath, the preemptive Ironbark used by Whoopie. If they can continue this chains, Rosita Jones, he really doesn't have anything left. Another Polymorph on Whoopie. Is there anything else? Finally gets out of some CC, trying to avoid the Cyclone at all costs. Rosita Jones looking to deny with the Polymorph spam. Rosita Jones barely hanging on, but that Cyclone keeps him frozen at low HP. Diminishing returns falling off of Whoopie. If a Polymorph can get snuck in by Grayson or a Cyclone from Flop, they could just close out the game right here and right now.
Oh, beautiful crowd control by Get Your Boy Dog in this position. Rosita Jones defiantly trying to make a stand and stay in the fight, and somehow does it despite being so far behind this entire fight. Rosita hangs on by the skin of his teeth. Cyclone again at low health by Flop. Flop looking maybe to bash Rosita. Now jumping over to Whoopie. Maybe looking to exchange that. Maybe just looking to bounce around the fight for fun. Not actually engaging any crowd control. Now getting bashed himself. This could be a bit of a throwaway on the part of Flop. They switch some damage to him, but Baby Cakes protects him with that Ring of Frost. Definitely looking unfazed, even though it's his first match in the tournament on that Windwalker, leading the charge. But Ice Block is available again and likely to deny the kill here in this position, if it's even necessary. The lead that Get Your Boy Dog got throughout the fight has been lost. Rosita has an answer, can deny the kill here, and likely has to. Touch of Death is huge. Rosita's going to respect that, trade out Ice Block. Now back in a similar position. Both Druids out of mana at this point. Dampening has just started. Flop sneaks away to reset that Flame Strike snipe by Rosita. Great placement, great awareness on his part to know where Flop was, even though he went into stealth for that. Really nice play.
Yep, Flop finds the Cyclone on Whoopie. Rosita Jones all by himself. Ironbark was used. Whoopie has been doing a good job preemptively with these Ironbark before he goes in crowd controls, and it's one of the only reasons Rosita Jones has managed to stay along for so long despite the efforts of Get Your Boy Dog. So nicely done by him. Combustion available for Rosita Jones. Is there any openings? I mean, Grayson, he has one Ice Block left. He's going to be fine with Baby Cakes, has every single defensive. Whoopie now in paralysis. Interrupt on Rosita Jones. Diminishing return. Ring of Frost on Whoopie, but just the damage not available yet. Flop has to push in and get some crowd control on Whoopie, or this kill attempt is lost.
I mean, they just need to coordinate together. They've had Rosita with 0 cooldowns for basically the entire fight, so some cross crowd control on Omnivore and Whoopie, Polymorph the Warrior, paralysis on the Druid, leg sweep on Rosita, bash out of the paralysis, chain all of these together, and you're going to get a kill. Flop goes for a bash Cyclone, gets denied though by Rosita. Rosita carrying despite being at the edge of his seat the entire game with nothing, manages to pull it together for his team. Grayson is now down 2 Ice Blocks. He's an open target for fun to stay alive in the series.
Yeah, Rosita Jones has to play perfectly here. Polymorph spam onto Baby Cakes. Whoopie in a good position to stay alive and keep his team up, but mana is another thing. Both these healers almost completely tapped at 10% dampening. This is going to be difficult for them to get drinks off. Grayson with no Ice Blocks left. He opted to use one of his Ice Blocks earlier on as a trinket, and now for fun, they're taking advantage of that. There's a lot of pressure. In the meantime, Rosita Jones getting pressured down a little bit as he's looking for crowd control. Paralysis from Baby Cakes onto Whoopie. Rosita Jones getting lower. Grayson with nice cross crowd control on Omnivore. Full bash on Whoopie. Rosita Jones has to stay alive. There's the touch of death from Baby Cakes.
No way.
I don't know if he's going to be able to do it.
No way.
Cauterized Brox barely holding on, but that touch of death is the final nail in the coffin, and Get Your Boy Dog buries for fun like a dog buries a bone.
Good work there. Hello, Baby Cakes. We'll never doubt you again. Coming in, going to be that pocket pick from Get Your Boy Dog, and they are going to be able to take this series. So now that we do get to see it in practice, what do you think about bringing Baby Cakes in here?
I still think it was a mistake. It's not going to change my mind just based off of the result. I think Baby Cakes, he could have been crowd control a lot more, and there could have just been a lot more pressure on the Grayson. If you look at Mana as well, Whoopi actually is in the lead here towards the end of it. And I mean, Rosita Jones just again had a really, really strong performance here on that mage. Omnivore is always going to be out pressuring that Windwalker in terms of consistent damage, but that Windwalker is going to, of course, bring in a lot more burst moments with the Touch of Death and his images as well. And it just comes down to being too far behind here on cooldowns. If Whoopi didn't actually tank so much unnecessary crowd control, I think the Ironbark would have came in, Rosita Jones would have been fine, Grayson didn't have any ice blocks, could have been completely different.